Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Omnibus review here on the John's Comics with Friends YouTube channel. Hope you have been here before and know the drill. I've got a playlist going of all these great Omnis and the reviews that have been done for them so that you can kind of cruise through and decide if something's for you. But if not, welcome in for the first time. Hit the like button, subscribe, hang out for a little bit. I do a lot of Omnibus reviews and breakdowns on this channel. So you can catch a lot of that kind of content here. And usually you find me hanging out with this guy, JP Budget Collecting.
With me? What?
Yeah, this has been an ongoing.
It has been. It's become like
a little over a year now.
These now. So
yeah,
we've been doing this for a while.
We put in some time. We put in some work.
We've covered. I mean, we've covered in less than a year. We've covered like twice as many omnibuses, and you and Justin have covered in like 5 years.
I mean, that didn't take long at all. That was very. Yeah, the pace over there with that guy is much slower than over here.
much slower. So,
yeah. So if you don't follow JP, his link is down below. You can find his content as well. But this has been something that we've been both kind of, as our collections have moved into reading more and collecting more in omnibus form, a desire to want to read these books and talk about them. So that's kind of where this all came from. We've tried to rotate Marvel and DC back and forth, so you get a nice little mix of the things we've been purchasing and reading. And occasionally, you know, somebody like the Magic Lasso jumps in here and joins us, especially if we're talking, I don't want to say it too loud.
I don't think we're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Anything Wonder Woman and not
anything. Yeah. If Princess Diana is there, then he's got to be there. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, we would both be in trouble.
But tonight we're Tonight we're reviewing Strange Academy from Skottie Young and Jorge Corona. This is a series that obviously I've been Humberto Ramos. I keep saying Jorge Corona. Sorry, Humberto Ramos. This is a series that I've been championing for a long while, and I was very excited that a slim omnibus of all 24 issues from the comic series has been published now together in one volume. You got the main cover. I got the, I got the variant.
Yours was, I can't remember which was which. So, yeah.
So there's two different dust jackets here for this.
There's one of Ramos and one of Skottie Young.
I have that comic right behind me here in a slab. Yeah. So I feel like I already got that cover. I wanted to see something different.
And they both have the same,
exactly.
character design, Ramos cover that for the actual book. Which is really, I really like that one.
So we'll be going through the main run, which was 18 issues, and then the 6-issue finals mini series that finished it off the main saga, and share a little bit about the thoughts on these characters and the stories and how that all kind of played out. But let's say hello to some of our friends. We had, of course, Ruben Guzman, the tailgater, first in the chat. As always, hanging out early. Appreciate you, sir. Gore Vidal jumping in right as we went live. Good evening to you, sir. JP, how could you let the team move? I don't know what team he's talking about. Is it
the Chiefs are moving from the Missouri side of Kansas City to the Kansas side of Kansas City because they're getting $1 billion from Kansas.
A new stadium, huh? Okay.
Build a new stadium.
All right. That's how it works. Money talks, right? There's JP as well in the chat, double duty. So you can click on his name, hopefully, and cruise over to his channel. We got Kenneth Bird in the chat. What's going on, Kenneth Bird?
I mean, Gore man.
Gore, come on now. Strange Academy, is this the comic series where Scott Summers is the director of an all-girls prep school? What is going on, Callie? Good to see you. Thanks for coming by, John. I appreciate it. Nobody would read that book, darn it, Gore.
Nobody would read that book.
No, instead, we are talking about Marvel's Harry Potter, if you will. This is the series that centers around the magic corner of the Marvel universe and a group of students going to the first year of the Strange Academy. Dr. Strange being the Sorcerer Supreme, although he does, spoiler alert, die during the time that this series was running. But he is kind of the Dumbledore in the
a superhero died during at some point.
And mostly the school is being run by Dr. Voodoo or Brother Voodoo, as some people know. And he is more the like day-to-day headmaster, but a lot of cameos from Marvel's magic characters appear through the series as teachers in some fashion or another. So in that way, there is a sort of revolving cast of characters that are familiar, combined with the main group of characters that are new. These young children related to characters we've met or from parts of the Marvel universe we already are familiar with, as they attend this school for the first year that it is open. But that's the basic premise. This is written by cover variant extraordinaire talent Skottie, who has also been doing a lot of indie comics, and this was his baby, his idea. And then the art for this volume completely filled by Humberto Ramos. I'm sorry, I keep saying Jorge Corona from time to time, but it's Humberto Ramos. And he does a bunch of variant covers, of which I'm slowly filling out the stable behind me.
You've gotten a few.
I've got about half of the issue 1 variants at this point. I'm working my way through getting all of them, but I've got about half of them. So yeah, this obviously is a series I'm a big fan of. I could go on and on about some of the stuff I really love about it, but this is JP's first time reading it. I was kind of curious, just your overall thoughts first time reading it. How did you feel? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How did you feel about some of these new characters?
I did enjoy it. I thought some of these characters, they did a good job of making these characters interesting from the beginning on their own right, and not just like, oh look, here's a Doctor Strange Jr. and here's a like these all of these characters, even though they have connections to other characters, they're all very different than the characters that they potentially have a connection to, and like they show up. And then we do have characters like Emily and a few others that have no connection to like existing magic users and are people that are just magic on their own. So that I felt like they did a good job of making it not just Junior Avengers. It's it's not just Captain America Jr. And like I felt like they gave like Skottie they created characters that were unique and interesting and gave all of these kids kind of their own story and backstory and personality, and it wasn't just Scarlet Witch Jr. and
I mean, you could see Marvel trying to do that, but instead I think talent like Skottie Young and the freedom that he was clearly given, it made for an opportunity, I think, to do something different, which I think is to all of our.
I really appreciated that it wasn't just that there were actually new characters, as Callie says.
For sure.
And even like Doyle, who's maybe the most clearly like designed straight from the character that he's from, clearly had his own personality, his own, like, he was not just Dormammu.
No. So and in a lot of ways, he and you mentioned Emily, they're the focal point, for the series. There's a lot of other characters that get moments to shine, but the ongoing drama of the story of what are these young kids going to do with all of this power and responsibility, is focused on Doyle and Emily as being these two paths that characters could potentially go down. Okay. For me, when I first read this, it was because I'd heard amazing things about it. The books were spiking and going crazy. And I was like, well, eventually I'll get to reading it. And they started publishing them in like smaller, almost novel, like book size editions. And I got a couple of those for my girls, and they flipped and they loved them. So I kept buying those for them. And then eventually I bought a lot, like a set of them in a charity auction for stupid money, because the price had come back down again. And it's just kind of been building for me from that. I will say that I had not fully read the finals storyline.
Oh, you had not? Okay. So I did not know how it wrapped up.
I was left on the cliffhanger of the main series. And I had been buying the variants that they had done for finals, but I didn't read them. Because I had heard that it was possible this was coming along. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just wait and see kind of where it goes. So this was my first time reading the ending to that portion.
I'm very interested to see what you think now.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what this book contains. That's the overall plot here. I'm curious, did you have any characters that jumped out as a favorite for you right off the bat, or as the story was wrapping, where you were just like this? Because again, that's the stars of this book for me, as much as the cameos and the guest appearances.
Well, I mean, really,
characters
other than Zelda and Brother Voodoo or Dr. Voodoo, none of the other Strange is in there enough that you could say it's more than just cameos, but all the rest of them are just cameos.
Yeah, right. I mean, Scarlet Witch and Magic, and there's other characters, but they're not in it with any.
Yeah, Ancient One. I mean, you see Agatha Harkness. You see that all the other people pop in, but it's for 2 pages or one little thing that the class is doing or whatever, and it's not.
Or as part of a montage where you're seeing them in all their classes that day.
So the only ones that are characters really are Strange, Voodoo, and Zelda are the only ones that are a consistent part of the book in that way. So it's really being carried by the kids. And I think I think they do a good job of, again, not just making them, not just are they not clones of a established character, but they're also very different from each other, and they give them all kind of a unique perspective and personality. You have the kid that is from Limbo that just says what she thinks and doesn't really have, and you have Doyle who's trying to prove himself, and you have the that he's not his father, and you have Emily and Calvin who are kind of thrown into this world and don't really have any kind of background of they just have these abilities and they don't really know why or how, and you have the fairy that is just well, I was always going to be, and it's just, so they do a good job of giving a nice mix of kids, a nice balance of personalities. But I think, and it's partially because they're given the most time, but Emily and Doyle are the standouts, I think, for me, in terms of, I mean, the kid that I wanted more with was Gus, and we really never get a lot of Gus. Everything was on screen, I enjoyed it, but it was not. We don't get a lot of Gus. And
Gus is the frost giant. You can kind of see
Gus
here.
Gus is the frost giant, and I Gus and Toth were both okay, give me more. Every time they were on, they were interesting, but they didn't get much time. I mean, it's Doyle, Emily, Calvin, and Alvy and Eric get most of the time here. Joey gets quite a bit of time, I guess, but it's.
There's certain storylines where a character shines a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's really the Emily and Doyle show.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Doyle, for me, in the first volume, was easily my favorite. I just, not only just the roller coaster of his journey, where you're just not sure, what kind of a kid he's going to grow up to be, which is wonderful to have that innocence level. But the character design, the flaming head, the look of him, in his school uniform, I just loved the look of the character. And he had so many great covers. That one when Strange is holding him and he looks like he's died, such a great cover. I remember seeing that in one of the small books my daughters were reading, just being like, that looks so great. I got to read this series. This looks so cool. And then you mentioned the Brorson brothers, the Asgardian knuckleheads that have a very much that egotistical Thor kind of swagger. And they're great the way they both love and hate each other, and the way they're kind of a constant antagonist to just the entire community, just based on their ego. So there's a lot of fun, and Toth I think is hilarious because he just always reminds me of White Whale Comics. Every time he doesn't. You should see. I on the post I put on Instagram, I did a split screen of Toth and Alec.
I guess I missed that.
Beard. It's It's phenomenal. You can feel free to check it out at your own leisure. But like the fact that he is like, he's like, he only ever really speaks in like thumbs ups,
Yeah,
thumbs down.
yeah, it's
Like
just not, he doesn't really speak. And,
he doesn't speak, and but he has this like he still bubbles. Like he still has
he's
like
got a presence when he
yeah.
when they put him in the panel. He's got a presence. Yeah,
Yeah. So there's so many times when they're just like, Toth, are you okay? And he's like, and I'm like, okay, it feels like Alec to me in some ways or another. So that got some giggles. And then the little twists like Zoe and her undead life that she's living in secret, or to Callie's point, the enchantress being the mom of the Asgardian kids. A lot of that stuff comes out across those first 18 issues, and I think it's kind of fun to see that slow burn of these characters, and gives them chances, I think, like you're saying, to like find their footing as individuals before you sort of flesh out the backstory, including even Doyle, who we really don't learn his parentage story till way late.
I mean, really, in finals is before you really know it, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody just assumed like his dad created him out of thin air as like a god. He just like made a little version of himself. But the story is more interesting than that, and I think that it's nice that they wait to the sort of ending to give us some of that. So yeah, those kind of things that I think make these characters kind of fun and interesting. We got some comments going on here in the chat. What's up, 405? He says, great story and series. He says, hopefully there's a follow-up series. It doesn't lose its identity the way Spider-Gwen did. Picked up the Art Adams character variants. I did as well. They look like the old playing cards in the 90s, like the collector cards. So that he did like one for each of the 6 main characters. They were really fun for sure. And then I missed Beckerman. He said there was a rewrite due to Stranger Things, but can't remember why. I had not heard that.
I hadn't even heard that either.
So I guess we could dive into that first few issues if you want, where we meet Emily. She gets taken to the school, meets some of the staff, and including Dr. Voodoo. And the kids all kind of meet each other and start to go to classes and live in the dorms together. It's got a bit of I can understand the Harry Potter comparisons in the sleepaway school kind of side of it, and of course it's all magic. So there's a ton of discussions around how magic works in the Marvel universe, and how these characters are fumbling about with these new powers that they've got. Any thoughts here on these first few issues as we're getting to see the school grounds and the staff as they start to pop into the story?
I mean, I think it's all just solid setup. Like you said, we've talked about a little bit the way they set up the kids. They give them a chance to breathe. They give them a chance to be themselves. It's a fun kind of series of cameos of how like some of these people would be teachers, and magic just banishes 2 of them to limbo like in her first class.
She doesn't take any fooling around for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just leaves them there. Just like,
they've got to find their way out, right? Yeah.
So we'll get back to teaching in a little bit further into this book, but so yeah, no, I think it's a good setup. You see the kids instantly like be what teenagers are going to be, which is they find their friend, they find their rival, they're pairing off into groups and in little cliques, and so I think it all works. The tone and setup is all really nicely done.
Yeah.
I mean, we get these early like second period, and they're with Brother Voodoo and looking at a zombie, and third period, and Wanda sent him into chaos magic, and Jim is like, okay, and then you get to magic class, and she immediately sends 2 of them to limbo. It's just like okay. So there is a nice pace to the setup in these first few issues of like establishing what the school is going to be, establishing who these characters are.
Yeah. No, well said. And yeah, Callie, I've noticed that the few of the ones I haven't snagged yet are the more expensive ones. The Breakfast Club variant, there's the Art Adams character variants. There's and then there's the the Peach Momoko
Magic.
covers of Magic. All of those are issue ones that I really enjoyed. What is going on, Fat Man? He says, just join the stream. Can I go into this without any prior knowledge? That's a great question. I would say yes. I don't read a lot of Doctor Strange. So for me going into this, I didn't have a ton of background knowledge as far as this corner of the universe. I've read almost nothing with Brother Voodoo or Dr. Voodoo. So for me, I feel like you could go into this completely blind. It's a very simple jumping on point. As long as you're familiar with all new characters. Yeah, as long as you're familiar with Marvel, I feel like that would be a basic concept that you might need. If you've never read a Marvel comic before, maybe it would be a little bit more challenging.
I mean, like in terms of like, it's helpful to know when the teachers show up who they are and kind of what they can do, so that you understand what they're trying to teach the kids. But even that, I don't know, is super necessary. Like,
sure,
like even if you don't know who Magic is, you get enough right off the bat with like, okay, and she's not in the book enough that you need to really worry about her history or story. You're just seeing what she's trying to teach these kids. And so I don't think, some basic Marvel knowledge would be good, but you don't need to be a Doctor Strange reader because the book isn't about Doctor Strange. It's about these kids.
Yeah.
And so, and these kids are all new.
Yeah, the kids that are the main character and the focus are all new characters, never seen anywhere before these issues, which is partly why that issue 1 in all the different variants is still something of a popular book, despite the fact that prices seem to be going down. But
because we haven't had any kind of follow-up.
Exactly. Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange would be helpful. And I know that the maxi or mini series, whatever it is, the Death of Doctor Strange, I had read that before I read this. But it does occur right around the same time.
It occurs during the events of this, yes.
But they only just passingly reference it. It's not like it's like vital, except for the fact that he's got his name above the door, whatever. That's about it. Because mostly, like you're saying, it seems to be Brother Voodoo who is putting in the most amount of work here in the school. What about the Humberto Ramos art? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on his art style for this.
I'm a fan of Humberto Ramos in general. Like, he's not a favorite, but I always feel like if he's on a book, it's going to be solid. Like, you know what I mean? And I think he actually shines here in this kind of setting with the teenagers and the antics that they're getting up to. I think this book works really well for his style and what he does, and so I actually think the art shines. That he does a standout job here with these characters and these kids. Like, for me, generally, I like if it's Humberto Ramos art, I'm gonna be like, okay, it's gonna be good. It's not my favorite historically, but it's not something that I like. You look at it and go, oh my god, it's good art, and I think this is maybe for me the best example of his art that I've read, that I feel like, in terms of
and I feel the same way, that this is my favorite thing he's done, and I've never disappointed by Humberto Ramos. Callie calls him gold. I've never been disappointed by his work.
No, I've never been disappointed. But I've never thought of him as a standout. Like, you know what I mean?
This for me seems perfect for him. This seems like, the way he uses color, the way he uses, the panel layouts, the way he does the designs for these kids. I think he's got a real sense of love for the characters. There's an affection, even when they're making horrible choices and messing. Like, Calvin makes a lot of bad choices. And obviously Doyle and Emily at different phases make a lot of bad choices. I think you can see that despite all of that, he has a lot of care for these characters and wants them to be drawn in a way that you sympathize with their plights, even when they're screwing up. And I think and maybe it's me and the work I do in the real world, but there's an affection I have for the idea that these are real blank slates. These kids could be heroes, villains, or anything in between. The opportunity all is in front of them, and as a result, there's a lot of I think potential for either huge success or tragic failure. And I think you get a sense of that in this story. That's the overall, journey of this book, is where will they land on that line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How will these kids deal with this ability they've got and the dangers that they face, and and how well the teachers help them or don't.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how they interact with the adults, because I do think it's an interesting conundrum where they have teachers that seem to want to just maybe throw them into danger, and keep things from them. There's a key element at play here about how the school is operating that they don't reveal to the kids till later, and that includes even going into the city, because this takes place in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And the ways in which the kids venture into the different quarters of New Orleans and deal with humans or magic users, prophecies, and soothsayers and things in town. There's some interesting connections to the adults.
Yeah. So this is the part I was curious to get your thoughts on as a teacher.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they fail these kids over and over and over again. Yeah. Like in the story, that the teachers, if there's a villain in the story, it's the teachers. because they're teaching them. There's a lot of like general classes about how to do stuff, but they kind of just let them roam the city, but they don't tell them that like the reason there's no cost for magic at the school, but if they use magic outside, they don't give them any like information. They give ultimately, like, they don't understand the magic that is connecting Emily and Doyle, and they just give her this ring that they have no idea how it works. And when it's corrupting her, they just let her go. I mean, it's like, they throw these kids to the wolves a bunch. And
so you're saying it's a lot like the Xavier School.
I mean, it's all the bad habits of Chuck. It's all of Chuck's worst habits, for sure. And, like, so I was super frustrated with sort of how this comes out in terms of, like, a little bit of, like, how some of the kids, and we'll get to the full spoilers of which ones, like, get some of the blame from the teachers for what happens when I don't feel like the teachers help them. Like, particularly, like, we never see them actually work on their specific, because all of them have very different magic, and no one ever helps them on their specific magic and how it works and the dangers of it. And well, except they don't throw them in a pool, they throw them in the Pacific, and they're like off of Alcatraz, and they're like, swim to shore over there, San Francisco's over there. It's like, go.
Yeah. So if your question is, how do I feel about it? Obviously, I feel like these are people that are not equipped or not ready to be teachers. Yeah. You look at Ileana and Wanda Maximoff, and these are clearly fragile, flawed people still trying to figure out their own baggage, like not necessarily ready for what Stephen Strange and Brother Voodoo are throwing at them here. But I also understand that it's kind of like getting frustrated with the police officers in a horror movie. Where you're just like, why aren't the cops there to catch these guys? Why aren't the cops doing it? Because that would ruin the whole thing, right? If these were really great teachers, this book would suck. If the teachers were really effective. Like,
semi-present. And I felt like they weren't. Like, there's so much here that happens just because they're not present with these kids.
Right. The supervision is lacking.
Yeah. I get they can't, like you said, like the story is going to lack, like there's no drama if these kids aren't like failing. But I feel like there would have been, I don't know. I got very, like, as the book went on and they kept like, I mean, because we get to the end and I don't know if we're ready for that spoiler or not. I mean, everyone knows that we're spoilers here. And we get to the end and Emily falls. Like into darkness, and it's because of the connection to Doyle and the fact that his dad uses that to corrupt her, and she gets angry with the teachers, and he uses that, and she falls into darkness. And at the end, they're like, she's evil. And it's like, you didn't help this kid at all. And then there's the whole scene where they pretend that they fake pretend that they're her parents, but they didn't actually call her real parents to try to come help talk her down.
No.
Like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, well, a student died. Next semester, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And certainly there is an element of a learning curve at play here, but I also agree completely that there are some egregious overlaps, and even the times when Brother Voodoo or Dr. Voodoo is saying, I gotta toe the line, these are the rules of the school, Calvin, you're out, feel out of place because he hasn't been towing the line on all these other kids. So there is an inconsistency to the adults. Now, I think there's two elements that allow me to not be too bothered by it. One is the fact that I can see from the outside that these are characters that never planned on going into the field of teaching at any point in their lives.
But they made a choice to do it.
But they did agree to do it, but they weren't ready, right?
Yeah.
The other is that this is clearly being told from the perspective of the kids. And so how accurate is it? Like how much of this are we seeing? Or are we just seeing the portions that justify their perceptions or their feelings? Are we not seeing other moments that are successes, because that would defeat the perspective of the kids that we're getting? Because often these books are, even narrated by various students, as if they're writing letters home and things like that.
I agree with that, because there's obviously more that happens at the school than we see. And so we are getting a unreliable narration to a certain degree. But we do see several scenes where Zelda tries to interact with Emily and Dr. Voodoo tries to interact with these students, that they obviously fail them in those moments. Sure. And and these are the people that these kids are looking to, and they repeatedly let them down in a moment when it's like, okay, this is a chance, you need to step in here, and they don't, and they let it go. And then the whole thing with Calvin is he throws him out of school knowing that he's being influenced by Gaslamp, who's very evil, and then he goes and says, Gaslamp, leave him alone, and then walks away, and it's like, well, I did my job. It's like, what?
Yeah.
There's several moments like that through the course of the story that it's just like, come on. And then Gaslamp is basically using people, the whole thing at the end with Calvin and stuff, where the kids go in and save him from Gaslamp and stop him. And all the other magic people are like, well, we might have to punish these kids for stopping this evil guy because we had to deal with him magically. And it's there's so much that's just...
Well, for me, that scene almost works better for me, because it shows that their hands, that in some cases hands are tied, right? Because the magic community is so incestuous in some ways, and so back dealing, and so full of trickery, that Brother Voodoo is kind of stuck in some scenarios. He even says it at one point, no, we can't help him because of some prophecy, that he's got to stay out of things in some regards. So I feel like there's elements of, favors that are owed or truces that are in play that the adults can't necessarily work around, including, the thing I hinted at earlier, which is that the reason the children are able to use magic more effectively on the grounds of the school and not have to pay any price for the magic they're using involves a bargain with a god, basically, to control the grounds of the school.
So this is another thing, how is that a good idea? How is teaching these kids to use magic with no consequence actually teaching them how to use magic when they get into the real world? like, I get that you want to have, and I could see maybe making a thing where it was easier, but to completely remove the cost of magic, like at the school, and I realized I'm kind of ranting a little bit. I really enjoyed the story. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I just was like, I found myself frustrated with, like, because I felt like like as I kept going, I'm like, they are failing these kids, and you see these kids struggling and doing like learning magic on its own was hard enough, but to be failed over and over again by the adults that are supposed to be helping them, like it was a frustrating cycle, and you've seen where it was heading, and it's like I feel like a lot of this could have been avoided if they'd just like hired people that knew how to teach.
It was only the first semester. Maybe that was lesson number 2. Power and responsibility.
Yeah, I feel like responsibility should have come first.
Right. No, I totally agree that with all that stuff. It never took me like out of the story. I never felt like I was like, oh, this is frustrating. It was more like I was so wrapped up with the kids and their solutions to things in a Goonies kind of like, who cares where the parents are? Why aren't the parents watching their kids kind of way? I was just too wrapped up in kind of what was playing out on the pages, and then enjoying the fact that the kids were, they were forced to deal with things in their school, whether that was like basically drugs, depression, anxiety, parent drama. All of these things were on the front lines for them.
In terms of the teachers not being aware of what Calvin, I thought that was handled really well. And I thought like that's something that's going to happen that teachers aren't going to be able to be on top of. It was the Emily clearly becoming angry and like darkness clearly like consuming her.
Yeah.
And they did nothing until it was too late. And then even when it was too late, they were like, well, there's a prophecy, so somebody just has to die. We're going to go over here and let them fight it out till one of them dies.
Yeah. And Doyle or Emily, we don't know, but we're just going to let it happen.
And then when we come back, we're going to blame her.
Yeah. They did. There was some of that.
And so that was the one that frustrated. Like I get that there's going to be things that those kids are going to deal with that the teachers aren't going to be there for everything, and that I don't want to overstate like where they like that they failed, because I thought the Calvin storyline was really well handled in terms of.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Calvin. So Calvin is a kid who ultimately, as we learn, is getting his abilities from this jacket, this black leather jacket that has a strange looking symbol of an eyeball on it, and somebody referenced in the chat that this jacket has a bit of a history. The character who's inhabiting it, as we learn later, it appeared in a Doctor Strange story prior to this, and was thought to have been destroyed, but instead sort of became this garment that the character of Calvin finds. And then he wears it, and it sort of bonds with him in a Venom symbiote kind of way, and then starts manipulating him. And then he goes through a cycle of having to break free from it, and then later is powerless, and then feels that he needs to then make a deal with Gaslight in order to get power back again. And that starts his cycle with
it's basically
the drug.
He hears about a guy that can make deals and get magic, and this Gaslamp person, and he goes and he's a drug dealer. It's really what it's doing, and he's dealing Calvin magic, but he's also like, hey, you deal these to your friends, favors to your friends for more power and like little spells, and he becomes, because he's addicted to the like having magic, and then suddenly being without feels out of place, and he's struggling, and like him falling victim to Gaslamp is like totally understand, like you see how that happens.
Totally. And then he gets in and out of his cycle, right? Because he gets, at first he's like, he's dealing, and then he gets banished from the school, but then he falls completely under Gaslight's sway, and he gets locked into one of the little siphon cocoon things.
Yeah, when he fails him, he ends up being he's getting like sucked away, his life sucked away.
Another battery like of the other people that Gaslight's collected. Is it Gaslight or Gaslighter?
Gaslamp.
Is it gas lamp? All right,
Gas
sure.
lamp. Pretty sure. I'm
Sure.
pretty sure.
I might have said it wrong as well. I did get the awesome cover that.
Yeah.
I snagged one of these at the Comics Curing Cancer, I think, recently.
Very nice.
He's a creepy villain for sure.
But and I get the whole thing, and on this one, and I get like, because part of what drives Emily away, and part of like drives the wedge in the students and everything, is that like they're upset that Calvin gets kicked out of school for what he's doing, and like it starts the rift between Emily and Dormammu or Doyle, that like Doyle's like, no, he deserved it. He was doing something bad, and like Calvin suffering, getting kicked out of school was fine. I just didn't like that their follow up was like, gas lamp, stay away from him, and then they didn't do anything. They never checked on him. like you know, it was like, okay, that's
yeah. It you know, I think Dr. Voodoo basically, I think, goes too harsh on Calvin in that moment versus not necessarily being harsh enough at other moments earlier in the story. And I think his inconsistencies as headmaster definitely play a factor in the things that the characters get drawn into or stuck in dealing with, including the creepy forest zombie wood creatures that they battle. That ultimately
the hollow that it's like trying to like steal their abilities, and where Doyle appears to die and Emily appears to like absorb some of his power, and that starts kind of her whole fall from grace as we go through this. And again, it was like, oh, we didn't tell you that, like, you knew there was a cost, but then here at school you've been doing all this magic with no cost, and then so you go out to like investigate this thing, kids. They Harry Potter it. They go into the Forbidden Forest, and only suddenly all their costs of magic are back, and they don't understand how to deal with it, and like get themselves in more trouble because they're not prepared because they didn't tell them, what they were doing.
Yeah. And I think that's, in the same way, you obviously it's easy to have the same complaint about Harry Potter, I suppose, as far as like,
Dumbledore
this doesn't seem safe, and we're keeping the wrong secrets from these kids that we shouldn't be keeping secrets, because that's one of the things that Emily discovers is the cost of magic, and why when they're outside of the school their magic doesn't work the same way as it does when they're inside the school grounds, and what that price has meant for people like Voodoo and Strange, who are basically keeping the truce with this is it Horgoth or something like that?
Hoodoo, something.
The giant tiger god.
That
is basically assisting them in the establishment of the power of the school. He's got several. Here, I'll show one of the panels I really love. Several great like pages of like absolutely amazing artwork when Strange is trying to barter for Doyle's life, and the Beast is just like, look, I've given you so much, you don't understand what this is taking from me, so that you can have your little school, and you just keep asking for more. There's some really great sequences in there. And then of course Emily is the one that ultimately has to go and doesn't necessarily understand how her little kiss of life brings Doyle back, and creates that bond that you're talking about between the two.
Yeah, it creates the bond, and then they just like give her something to increase the bond again without understanding what they're doing.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the ring does for her.
Well, Strange basically says, well, Doyle suggested, because they were afraid like his power was going to like, she would stroke. How do they say it? I forget here. Like, he was afraid that like potentially like she absorbed it, and like knowing where it came from, that it might.
That's what it was. I think it was part of the cost of the visit to the dark dimension, right?
I forget. I'm trying to remember. He has that conversation with her, and and like they try to he and her go to the dark dimension because he's trying to save her, and then when she comes back, she connects with Doyle, and then he gives her the ring, and she's like, "Wait, you stole it from me?" He's like, "No, he gave it to me," and she tries to ask him kind of what it does, and he's like, they're worried that like his power affected her, like. The ring will help keep what remains at bay until we can find a way to completely remove it, like remove Doyle's power, right, from her, because she took a piece of it.
That's what it was
during the thing. So they're like, the ring will help keep it at bay until we can remove it. And she's like, okay. And so they put it on her. Only, as we find out later, like Dormammu is actually using the ring to like corrupt her more,
to manipulate her,
more. And they never follow up to try to actually like. And obviously, this was Strange's doing, and then he dies, so that maybe there's a lack of communication there. But nobody ever follows up in all the months afterward to be like, "Oh yeah, we need to get that out of her because we know it's a bad effect on her. Like, we need to follow up on this." Nope. And they don't really understand the ring in the first place.
No, I mean they don't have the full understanding for certain.
No.
And this is a great point about Calvin. Obviously, should he even be allowed to stay after losing all of his abilities? And I think they were trying to see if they could have some success with him despite the power of the jacket being gone.
Yeah,
but it's obviously a very complicated situation.
Yeah.
What's going on, Carlito? Hello, sir.
Cheers.
Let's see. I guess we could talk a little bit about Gas Lamp if you want. I don't know if you want to get into some of that. There's a parent day and a field trip that I also want to get into. I think both of those.
Let's do that. We're 50 minutes in.
Yeah, the field trip to Asgard is phenomenal. I really enjoyed
it's really well done.
And that's the reveal that the Enchantress is the parents of the twins, because Doyle's Doyle spies on them and learns this stuff, and then helps keep their secret for them. Yeah. Like he quickly says, I know what that's like to keep those kind of secrets. I'm here to help you. And it ends with the kiss between Emily and Doyle. Any thoughts on the field trip to Asgard? Even the flying minibus.
The flying minibus. What is it? What was the show with the magic bus? Or was
Magic School Bus?
Magic School Bus, yeah. I mean, it's giving you vibes. They're flying on the Rainbow Way, and
what's up, Brandon?
So I thought it was fun. I love that they're like that they get. Gosh dang it, I can't think of his name. One of Thor's buddies, but he just feast, and like I'm not actually going to give you the tour. He's like, I'm not going to give you the tour like I'm supposed to. We're just going to go feast, and and they get into a fight.
And then there's a huge bar fight, basically.
They get into a bar fight, and they basically get thrown out of Asgard. But and I really enjoy it because we've seen like Eric and what is the other? Alvi clearly have a chip on their shoulder. Like they both have that Asgardian arrogance that we see like young Thor have, kind of thing, but they clearly also have a chip on their shoulder that they're like going through this and see the reason for that, to see who their mother is and what they're trying to push through, and then she clearly like does care about them, but she's the Enchantress, and so she cares more about herself most of the time.
Yeah.
And so no, I thought the whole field trip was really great. I thought it worked on a lot of levels. The field trip was a ton of fun.
Mrs. Fritz put the kids in danger all the time, and no one's slandering her name. She gets her share. She gets her share.
She did put those kids in,
And we talked a little bit about Toth and obviously his murder and the Detective Howard the Duck trying to solve is where the reveal of Calvin's jacket comes into play. I don't know if there's anything in there that you wanted to mention.
No, I thought
it was a fun cameo.
Like of Howard the Duck. That's not a character you see a ton. I thought it was a fun use of him coming in to be kind of like to help solve this case and them trying to figure out what's going on. And I thought it was a useful way to because clearly you can see throughout early on, you can see that there's something more to Calvin's jacket than what we realize, and that so there's something going on there. And I thought it was a good way. I thought it was an interesting way to like tell that story and get that reveal. As someone who didn't know the jacket, like I know there's people like you said, the jacket was something that had previously been established in Doctor Strange lore.
I don't know if the jacket was, or I think it was just the creature.
The creature
it had become
the jacket.
Yeah, it had become a jacket, I think, in the interim. Like Strange had battled it and defeated it, and it had gone into hiding and become this article of clothing as a way to protect itself.
So there was a history there that like somebody that knew that history might have picked on quicker than I did. But it like but I think it worked really well in terms of that reveal and what that sets up, the dominoes that sets up for Calvin and ultimately sets up for the whole group. I think it works really well. So
and then I mentioned the parent day. When a lot of their parents come to the school to compete in like, I don't know, I would hesitate to call it team building activities. Did you have any thoughts about the school having the parents come to visit for a day?
It was fun. I love that like the regular mortal parents, like Emily's regular mortal parents are like sticking it to Loki.
Right.
You know, Uncle Loki is there for Eric and Alvy, and she's like not putting up with the script. She's like, it's one of a kind. He was like, oh well, because he was cheating. And
of course, it's Loki.
It's Loki, and it was just So I enjoyed that interaction, which plays into my frustration later because you see how strong her parents are in terms of like and how important they are to her. Yeah. And then the fact that like they don't all this is happening and they don't reach out to her parents to try to help them bring her back in and try to help her. Like,
but would they? I mean, I took it as like, well, there's no way we'll get them here in time, so let's try to pull a fast one on her and see if it'll work.
For weeks. Like how long?
No, I mean, but they would. School? They didn't. Yeah, I mean, like, but like to know that she would attack them that day, or
like.
They imply that they assumed that.
So I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
If your children disappear from school,
right,
and they have no idea where they are, the school you've sent them to, do you want a phone call like within I don't know a month?
I would. No. Yeah, but this is it's kind of like them being stuck in limbo for the day, like. At what point is it like, no, within the realm of the norm for our magic school?
They're stuck in limbo. This is they walked out.
She ran off.
And said, we're leaving. And they don't know
what
and
then they left. Them. She led like a revolution of students.
Where is her mother?
They started coming back little by little.
Like, I get, okay, maybe these people aren't trained teachers. Maybe they're not equipped for their students leading a revolution. Maybe you get their parents involved.
Yeah, I disagree on this point. I just don't. Either they're calling immediately upon her vanishing, in which case the parents wouldn't be there that day because they are already out looking the world over or going to lawyers and suing the school. But like they're not going to be there hanging around that day waiting for her to magically reappear.
I get that. I'm just saying that like there's.
Or in my opinion, what they probably did is not call the parents. They were waiting for her to come around.
For the moment Emily walks out of the school.
Yeah.
I feel like the teachers do nothing but push her toward the moment that we get at the end of the book instead of actually trying to help her.
And I would argue that we just don't see them doing anything. And I'm fine with that. If I don't know all the little things like that Dr. Voodoo is trying to do to like make sure that the prophecy plays out in a way that might be working for everybody. It's clear as Voodoo says a few times that the prophecy has to play out. Like there's nothing that they're going to be able to do to stop it, but they can try to arrange the parameters as much as possible. And it feels to me like that's what they're doing when we're not seeing them. Because they even at the end, when the big fight comes, they just run off with Dormammu and all of his henchmen as a way to be like, we're going to clear the board of these big pieces and let the little
kids can
pieces
kill
do
each
what they
other.
can.
I
Well, I mean, there's
don't
no
know.
way they can stop them. That's the whole concept of prophecy and story anyways. There's no
I
way
don't
that
know.
they can stop that.
I feel like that's
It's certainly
an excuse
convenient.
for them being bad teachers.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that.
I feel like that, because I feel like even when we see them, like what they're doing, I feel like they're, if anything, they've just decided that, like, oh, well, this prophecy says something bad's going to happen and kids are going to die. Well, we're just going to help it happen. And it's
yeah, I could see that take. It doesn't feel that way to me.
It totally feels that way to me. Like, I would never send my kid to these people. These people are like incompetent.
I mean, they're certainly not ready for the task.
No, they're not.
This is a great point that I don't think gets enough play. The idea that Toth's
it is exactly how we got Toth.
Yeah, Toth's parents do have interesting family relations with Man-Thing.
Well, no, his dad is Man-Thing.
Yeah, his dad is Man-Thing.
Yeah,
sure. And he shows up.
Mom like the Man-Thing.
Yeah, she 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he shows up in the story.
And they even make there's even a comment in there like about the fact that his name is Man-Thing, or that he's called Man-Thing, or whatever. It's like they even make Skottie makes a dirty joke, like a double
as far as you can get away with
it.
Yeah. Most of the parents are there at the brunch, or they have a representative like Loki who shows up for the Asgardian.
Yeah. Most of the parents come to the little parent day thing.
Yeah. Dormammu does not.
No.
I don't remember Dormammu showing up.
And we don't even see, and that day is where Doyle's mom doesn't come that day either, which is like, so we don't know if that, when we find out everybody else's parentage, we don't find out Doyle's until later.
Right.
But
correct.
They get Doyle's mom there on the day that it matters. And they don't get the kid who's like actually in trouble. Again,
well, but he was supposed to be there for a school event, so that makes total sense that she would get the invite that day.
Yeah. And I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna stop.
At this point, John, because Enchantress is in jail on Asgard at this point in the story, so we only see her that one time in that one bit.
So we haven't seen, because we haven't had a follow-up, we don't see Enchantress's reaction to the fact that one of her kids doesn't make it out of this.
No. Yeah. And that, I guess we could get into we're almost at the hour mark. I suppose we could get like into the finale of the final 6 issues, where we kind of get Doyle clearly coming across as the hero, somebody who sides with the school and with the efforts in teaching these kids to be as good as they can. And Emily, who feels betrayed by the school, feels frustrated by it, and has been corrupted by Dormammu, and leads a small revolution. But ultimately, all but one of the kids that go with her start fleeing back to the school.
Well, yeah, because she takes them to like the dark dimension, and Dormammu's there, and they're all like, "What the heck?" Because he's clearly using the ring to control her, to like manipulate her into doing what he wants. And so, most of the kids flee back to the school. Yeah,
it's just her and then Desi for the most part that are sticking to this.
Well, Desi, you see Desi like truly like transform and get changed. Also,
she becomes a full demon
by the dark magic as well.
Exactly. And one of the Borson twins lasts quite a while, but then ends up coming back.
He's one of the last ones to abandon her. Yeah.
And he's the one that ultimately dies when Emily shows up at the end and does the big fight. She kind of punishes him for betraying her, but then
she's trying to blame. He steps in front of something meant for Doyle. Like
she blames Doyle. Yeah,
he protects Doyle from what Emily's doing, and it ends up costing him his life to protect Doyle. And we see her by the end. She's full on like got the Dormammu head herself.
Yeah, it's a great look. I think giving her this female Dormammu look with the flaming head and the cloak. It's a really cool design
she's clearly
for her
been
villain era.
She looks just as much Dormammu as you see the panel there at the bottom, and you see Doyle in one panel and her in the other, and she's become
it's cool. I love it.
Completely corrupted. And
completely, yeah.
And which again goes back to my whole complaint of then at the end they're all like, well, she's evil. She's, and they blame her completely for everything that's happened when it's like, and then they take Desi back, but they're like, no, Emily, we're not going to go look for her and try to help this kid at all. They just leave her on her own. And
I feel like you're dismissing the prophecy side of this, which is very much like the teachers are understanding it from a magic standpoint of, we can't interfere with this. The kids have to have agency. They have to make their own decisions, and then they have to be held accountable for the end results. All we can do is set the stage for the best possible outcome we can possibly make.
Even if that's the way it comes, even if they're like, okay, we can't actually stop this. We're going to try to do the best we can here. After it's over, they come back and they're like, yep, she's evil and she's gone, and we're going to keep moving forward, and we're not going to go try to help this kid. And they even say things like, even the way they comment about her after the fact is like, yeah, she's a lost cause. And it's just like, what? That's what drives me nuts. I guess I feel like they turned these kids loose, and then they were just like, yeah, well, some of them died, some of them failed. It's fine. It's what happened.
I took it as she still has all the opportunities to make a change later in life, but they can't force her to do it. Now, I would argue that after the prophecy is fulfilled, they should be honor bound to pursue some element of catharsis for her, because we've seen all through this story time and again somebody who's made a mistake is welcomed back into the fold by the other kids, and there's a hug and a moment where the kids are like, no, we're not holding it against you. You made a mistake, but you can do better, and you will do better. And there's lots of those little moments, right? And Emily so far has been robbed of hers.
Yeah,
for sure. But for me, that's just a story waiting to be written. But that's how I always expected this to end out. So when I got to the end, I was like, no, that makes sense. I think I would love for her catharsis moment to be a part of this, but it's clearly yet to be written.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're going to get it. So that's where
we might. I don't see why we wouldn't eventually. She's a great character. I would love to see.
Yeah, I was frustrated with the way that they were kind of they get to the end, and even he comes back, Brother Voodoo comes back, and I just was looking at it, and it's and Doyle, having reabsorbed all of the dark magic from Emily and all his dad's influence, is and they she flees, and Doyle gets saved, and Dr. Voodoo's like, oh, it's all going to be okay. And it's and he's like, no, it's not. There's a dead kid.
And even Doyle has to be actually, no, because that kid died.
That kid died. And the other kid is just in the wind. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. They're just, the adults are so nonchalant about all of this, and it just frustrates me as it goes through the book. And it's I don't have the kids, and then making Emily makes a bunch of mistakes. I'm not trying to say that she's not without fault in her journey.
No, I think it sounds to me like what you're saying is she's still a kid and she needs parent help or teacher guidance, and she's not getting any of those things.
I don't know, all of you magic users, and she's clearly been corrupted by dark magic. Hey, Wanda, maybe you should go talk to this kid. You've been there.
Wanda's been through this several times. Right?
Yeah, they have people that can help her, and they don't, and that's where it frustrates me, I guess.
It's fine. It won't matter in my series.
Yeah.
He also said, can't be a Marvel hero without a tragic backstory. These teachers are just doing their part.
Hey, if you want, on the realm of Marvel teachers teaching superheroes and taking responsibility for the bad things and putting them in danger, these teachers are still minor leagues compared to Chuck. Like they got a lot of work to do to truly endanger their students at the level that Charles endangers his on a daily basis. Like, I mean, Charles looks at us like amateurs.
And I still feel like Dr. Voodoo has taken a lot of hits, throughout this series, as far as like the connection to Hogwarts or whatever, the Tiger God, and the things that the burden of that and how it was impacting him and his magic. I think there was some good stuff. Substitute teacher. So for me, like, I think, as bad as some of his mistakes were, I feel like I at least could appreciate what Dr. Voodoo was trying to do. He was failing.
Like, I don't want to make it like they're not
compared to Chuck.
Like, I don't want to make it that they're not trying, because they are, but boy, do they. I was frustrated because I felt like they failed the kids repeatedly. And then sort of like when they failed them the most was when they would be like, well, it's your fault. Like
to Calvin, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like with Calvin and Emily both. It was like, okay, well, we're going to blame the kid at this point, even though we've multiple times along this path, we failed to redirect them off this path. And like we failed to help them before they got to this point. And now that they got to this point, well, see ya, you're out of here.
C'est la vie. Yeah, classic X-Men turning kids into soldiers and collateral damage.
I mean, it is the Marvel way, I guess.
And I do think, though it wasn't highlighted significantly in these issues,
is not.
It should have been, and it is definitely weighing heavily on the end result here, is the idea that the person who founded the school died halfway through this first year of operation.
And the person that also was responsible for this ring that we see that's clearly affecting her, like the person that made that choice. So we don't know, like, to his defense, we don't know how much Voodoo actually understands or knows what Strange did and what that ring is.
Right.
Because he makes that choice to give her that, to try to control this energy that she's stolen from Doyle unintentionally, and says, well, we're going to use that to control it until we can get it out of you. And then he dies.
Yeah.
And then we see that there's no follow-up ever on this. And then we see her just continue to get darker and more angry and like clearly being more and more affected by it. And nobody ever like follows up. And so, how much did Voodoo even know, to his defense, of what Strange did there?
Right.
Like that is what is actually leading to this kid going this way.
You're right. No, I totally agree.
So,
any final thoughts here? Anything overall? Any hopes for the future? I will say the only other thing besides this that I've read is the current mini series that just wrapped up called Doom Academy.
Yeah.
When Doom, the new Sorcerer Supreme, opened a Latverian branch of Strange Academy, and a handful of these characters cameo over there. I know that chief among them is the fairy girl. What's her name?
Shaylee?
Shaylee has a big part in that storyline. I know Zoe appears in that one. So a few of these kiddos appear in the.
I was curious, like how connected that actually was.
It was not great. I didn't love it. In fact, it was probably one of my least favorite, mostly because my expectations were super high going into it. But it was not my favorite of the tie-ins, and that's a low mark. I do feel like it didn't do what I wanted as far as a Strange Academy book, and it didn't do what I wanted as far as a Doom tie-in book. It kind of felt very frivolous, but entertaining, but not anything that had any weight or value long term. But that was my take.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my concern with this, like, in these characters, is if Skottie doesn't come back or they give them to somebody else, that I think that these characters could become, that this could all just not matter. You know what I mean? Like that that eventually these characters just fade into like the background and we don't see them, because like somebody talked earlier about like the Spider-Gwen stuff. Like I love that early Spider-Gwen stuff, and I've tried the last couple of series, and I just can't. Now that they've moved her to the 616, and she's just another Spider person in New York, and it just doesn't work the way it worked when it was her own universe and it was her own thing. And like I do worry that like any kind of attempt to keep going with this that doesn't center around him leading the story, I feel like potentially has a chance of just not ever coming back to this level of storytelling.
And that's a valid concern, because I think obviously track records of Marvel would prove that can be a challenge for them. But I preferred to have it be nobody's playing with it rather than somebody play with it and mess it up.
Yeah.
So I'm fine if it means we have to wait for somebody to come along who has a passion for it or a deeper interest in making something special out of it. If that means I gotta wait, then whatever. That's
for sure. Marvel editorial again, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that's the problem. Is like if he doesn't have a story to tell, eventually they're going to be like, well, we got to get back to a Strange Academy book, and we're going to put Zeb Wells on it. And
I mean, there's definitely money on the table there, right? There's money to be made for sure.
So, and that's the kind of thing that worries me. So,
for sure,
but overall, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the characters. I felt I was frustrated, despite my frustration with the teachers. Like as I was reading through this, I'm like, "Come on!" Like, get off. And then they'd get involved, and I'd be like, "Well, don't do that." Like that's not the way you help these kids. I'm not even a trained teacher. I just know teachers, and I know better.
That's funny.
Like, did you take a basic teaching course before you decided to open a school?
No.
No.
Now you're really asking a lot. Now you're really demanding a lot. Yeah, so to Brother John's point, we usually go back and forth DC Marvel. So if you go through the playlist I've got that's connected to this video on my channel, you can see some of the ones: Batwoman, Nightwing, Wonder Woman by Perez. Sorry. So you can see some of the previous ones JP and I have done over the last year or so. So there's lots of good stuff. But yeah, we should be doing a DC Omnibus discussion of some sort in January to continue this trend along.
No, so we haven't picked one yet.
We just haven't picked one yet. Yeah, we just haven't settled on which one that'll be. And we got lots of good stuff we're reading anyways. We're trying to keep up on a lot of things. I'm currently working on all my best of 2025 videos. Those should start dropping here in the next week. One for Marvel, one for DC, and one for anything else, which is usually the best books of the year. Spoiler. So you can see those upcoming here soon. JP, do you got anything going on your channel people should know about?
I'm going to be quiet this weekend because my family, everyone was sick, so we kind of did not get together on Christmas, but we're going to try to get together this weekend. So we're kind of doing a late Christmas this time. So won't be too much this weekend. The look back comes out tomorrow, as always. I will be dropping. I'm not sure in what order they're going to come, but I'm going to have a video. Like I dropped earlier this month. I dropped my best new ongoing reads of 2025, like the comics I enjoyed the most in 2025. I'm going to drop my favorite of the omnis and trades that I went back, and then I'm going to drop that at some point. I'm also going to drop my regular novels and nonfiction at some point, and then also just my collecting recap of 25. Nice. I'm not sure what order those are going to come out over the next couple of weeks, but they're all. I got all the lists pretty much done, and it's just a matter of recording and putting them out. So
yeah, same here. I've got all my stuff pretty much read. There's a couple of indies I'm catching up on. But for the most part, all the other stuff.
I didn't very many indies last year. I'm going to have to try to do better this next year. I kind of slipped on my indies. I didn't get very many done last year.
I tend to read a lot of issue ones, and then come this time of the year, dive into trades and into collected editions or digital reading, and just kind of catch up as much as I can. And I thankfully use people in a community that post a lot of great stuff of their favorite indies every month. And those kinds of folks keep me up, and I just sort of keep an ongoing list in my phone of books that I want to come back, circle back around to reading. And it makes it a lot of fun because I end up reading the cream of the crop.
I saw the list that you posted like to us in one of our chats that we're both in. You had a whole list of like all the like indies that you were reading, and I was like, "Good Lord, man!"
It was a lot. It was a lot. And there's still probably 8 of them that I was like, I'm just not going to get to these. I just won't.
I bet you had like 30 or 40 on that list.
Yeah, it was in that 30 something range. That's just the indies. There was also like, a bunch of DC and Marvel stuff that I was reading as well. Sorry. John needs to read We 3 by Grant Morrison. All right, there's something new to add to my list.
Yeah, because you haven't.
Keep it going. Well, I appreciate everybody for coming, for hanging out, hitting the buttons and all the things. We should be back again for more of this. Subscribe to me and JP. You'll find us. We'll be back around with more stuff. We've got some Wonder Woman stuff. I know JP's gotten a bunch of Wonder Woman omnis from different eras of the character. We have one in common, but then since Magic Lasso has not been listening to this video, I'll tell you, I actually bought the Burn Omnibus and it's coming, but we'll deal with that later.
He doesn't like the Burn part, I don't think.
He owns that one. He owns it.
Yeah, but I thought that was the one he said he didn't like. That he didn't like it.
No, I think he does like that. I think he's a Burn fan across all the levels. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what's coming up here. I've been recording my Christmas Carol reads. I got 2 more of those to do, and then the whole thing will be on there for people to check out. But that's about it. Thanks everybody for coming, for hanging out, and we'll catch you again next time.